Welcome back to another video, guys. Nice to see everyone. So this one's going to be another one in the series of upgrading and maintaining the van. We're going to tackle that sliding door problem that we've had. It's going to fix two problems in one, you'll see in the video, so let's go. Right, so hopefully we're going to fix two problems in one today. So you've seen on the little clip earlier on, the door drops when it comes out. Also common on these vans is for the side door warning beeper to go off all the time. Now, a lot of people, and I'll show you mine in a second, add a little washer to the corner, to the stop jam, which kind of stops the alarm going off, makes the door more awkward to close. But really the reason is the movement and the dropping of the door because of the wear in the rollers. So we'll get to that, we'll start taking the first one off and we'll get to... Right, so just going to show you what happens with the door, and it's been doing it since pretty much I've had it, so just a bit close up on the edge there, and we'll keep an eye on that in a sec when Rich, my assistant, opens the door in a moment. It drops because of the roller wear, I believe. So go for it, Rich. Open the door. Now you've probably seen that at the top there. You slow that down, it drops down a bit, and that's because of the wear in all three of those rollers, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see when we change them later how much movement there is. Rich is just jiggling the door up and down there. So not only that, you don't want the door falling off, clearly, but it makes the door actually difficult to close, especially from inside, so it's a real pain when you're camping. So we'll get onto that, look at it in more detail in a minute when we take a couple of other indicators here. You can see the stop jam here. A lot of people do this. I did this myself. I've put a couple of washers in behind this because I was getting the side door open warning on the dashboard, and it beeps constantly when you're driving around. You go over a bump and it does that. And a lot of people either cut the wires behind this sensor here, or they do what I've done and put that in, and that pulls the door in a little tighter. But it's all down to those rollers, really. And if you look down at the side door rubber, you'll see where the bottom of the arm has been catching the rubber. So the bottom of this arm, as the door comes up and closes, it's the rubs away the bottom of that rubber. So that's clearly the problem with the massive movement. So we're going to take it all apart now. Another thing you'll see also, that you can tell the door dropping is having an effect, is the latch at the back to keep the door open. Now it doesn't seem keen. If I can get a better angle there, you can see the catch is pretty low down on the bracket there. So if Rich, my assistant, just gives it a little lift upwards, you'll see the latch jump straight into place, as it should do without a problem. So another clear indicator of those need doing. So okay, so first thing is you've got to get this door handle off, the interior door handle. It's pretty easy. There's a clip there which sits behind the two plastic pieces, and basically you get behind it with a pick, something similar to that, and pull it up, and that means the handle can come off. So to get into the relevant bits in the hinges, we need to pop off all the little plastic trim tacks there that keep the cover on that door. So Richard's just going to pop one of those off and just do that all the way around to release the panel. Right, so I've got the door panel off now. That gives you access to the back of these to do this bottom one and well, the top one there, but you also need to get the middle one, which is the one we're going to start with. But we think most of the movement is coming from the bottom one, but we're going to start with the middle one because the door is still held at the top and at the bottom. So center roller, this bolt needs taken out so you can slide the roller out the end of the rail, and that's a T30, is it? Is that T30?
T30 Torx.
T30 Torx. So we're taking that hinge out there. Now it's got 3 bolts inside, which I'll show you now. Those 3 there, which are 30mm, or they're star shaped, if you want to take them out that way. Now the door will move because there is adjustment in that thing. So I think what we're going to do is unbolt them, replace it with the new hinge, and get it into a center, basically, because we're going to be adjusting lots of other things as well. So if we get it to the center and we know we've got adequate adjustment up and down, depending on what we end up with. And this is the new hinge we're replacing it with. So it's a case of unbolting that one and put it back in. So we'll get the other one out and then compare it to the new one. So these are the 3 bolts you're going to need. Now it's important that when you do this, the door's going to move, and it's the only thing holding the back of the door. So at this point you need to get it to the door in position so you're able to get some adjustment on it, or to get to the bolts. But you need to support the back of the door in the case we're going to be doing it with a jack and a rubber pack to support the bottom of the door and the weight. The front of the door is still attached via the 2 other hinges. But if you don't support the door before you undo those, the door's going to end up on the floor and you're not going to be happy. Okay, so the centre support roller arm is out. I've just popped it next to the new one, and you can really see, I'm going to get in as close as I can, hopefully it stays in focus. You can see how much wear are on these wheels. So if we go to the new one, you can see they are probably twice the thickness of the worn arm, and the arm itself seems to have lost all its kind of spring, where this one is very much still springing. So what we'll do is we'll get that back in place, located, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so our bottom one, which like most of them is probably going to be the worst one, so you can buy the whole arm and all the bits and bobs. I don't have that. I have the new end point. Now the pin in this is pinned over to hold it in, so what we're going to have to do is take off the whole arm from the door, which is just 4 13mm, and we need to release the door release cable there, which just turns and pivots off that little stay there. So we're going to whip that off first, but I think this is going to be where most of our problems lie. I'm not expecting to see much rollers left on this one when we take it off, but we'll compare it again in a sec. Okay, so all those bolts unbolted. There's a back supporting plate which bolts through the thing, it stays in its captive, stays in place, so it'll be easy to bolt back up. We had to unclip the release cable from the bottom of the unit in this groove just here. But let's take a look at these rollers, because you can quite clearly see where the massive amount of drops coming from. So the bottom roller is completely gone. So we just look at the new ones. The side rollers aren't that bad. There's still some meat on them. Obviously they're not as brand new, but that is completely gone on there. So what we're going to do is get this over to the bench, grind off the peened pin to get that out, and replace it with our new one with a new pin, and pin that over and then refit to the door. Like I said, don't forget, support the door, because if it's not jacked up and the weight's taken, it will be on the floor. Okay, Rich just giving this channel a clean out again, like we did with the other centre channel. You can see the paint flaking off it, but we've got there in time, because whilst there's a few score marks in this from where the wheel's completely gone, with left much longer it would start to dig channels in this rail, and then the door would never line back properly, and you'd end up having to replace this channel or do something fairly drastic to fix it. So we caught it just in time, so we'll give this clean out and then we'll get on to fitting the new roller end to the arm. Right, so there's the arm all clamped up in the big vise. Get outside. Like I said, we're going to grind off the top of this peened over pin to remove that and replace it with a new one. So I'll put you on time lapse while we do that. Hitting this with a hammer now to punch the pin down after taking the top off it. Rich, just move your thing there, getting close so I can show you where. Just started to put it down. It started to move, so we should be able to beat this through in a minute. So we punched that pin through. As you can see, the top of the mount is a bit grubby and dirty, but the pin came out nice and clean. Importantly, the new one is the same. It all fits great over there, so we insert the pin and then pin over the end, which just means beat it with a hammer, I think, to flat it off.
Try that too.
Right, pinned. So yeah, hit with the round end of the hammer, which possibly was called a pinion hammer, but that's come over nicely, and that's all secure now. Rich, if you just give it a waggle on the end just to prove that it's not going to fall back out. That's looking good. So we'll just give this a bit of a clean up and then back in the van, and then we'll see where we are in terms of the door dropping. Okay, so the new one's all fitted now, so we're just going to drop it in the rail. So if you orientate it in a straight line, you should be able to insert into the rail and just latch it in, ready to be refitted. Just like that, so it's on, rolling nicely. Let's get it, put it back on the door. Right, so she's all bolted back up now. Made a mark around the edge of it to gain a reference, but I've got a feeling that's going to be moving anyway. So adjusting these 3 bolts, undoing these 3 bolts, or slacking them off slightly, will give you some sort of adjustment with the door. So now we've got the door secure off, we've let the jack off now. So what we'll try and do is have a bit of a test slide of the door and see where we are. I expect it to have moved quite a bit because you see in the state of the old rollers it was dropping significantly. It seems smoother, well, it's sounding anyway. So we're just going to give it a bit of a slide and we're checking the gap.
Okay, so shut the door. Just having a look at the shut lines along the bottom. It's not looking too bad. It falls away towards the front a little bit, and your shut lines here looking spot on, but again gets wider as you go up. So by the time the top hinge is done, that should pull it all in a little bit, and maybe some tweaking of the front hinge to lift the door slightly.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like we're a million miles away. You can definitely see that we are leaning forward, or leaning down on the front corner of there, which is a good thing because that's the only hinge we haven't replaced. So it looks like we're not going to be a million miles away. Yeah, so these 4 bolts mark this bracket and take it off, and then you can get in here and slide it out at the end of the rail. And then you can replace this top roller. Mine one's not in that bad a shape, but replace it anyway. The door's running so much better. So the only thing left to do, now all 3 rollers are been replaced, we need to move the front of the sliding door angle. We need to move it up about 3 or 4 mil to get it perfect. So to do that, like we were saying, we're going to jack the corner of the door slightly with these bolts just loosened slightly, just to give us that 3 or 4 mil. Tighten the bolts up again and then push the door to and see if we're a bit closer to it. There's not much, but it will make all the difference. So after final tweaking of that hinge, we've got a good line, as you can see, way across and down. It's pretty much perfect now, and the door operates great. So just open it, that's it. That's a good job. And you can see just how much that has raised the back of this door. The latch now is perfectly into place, and it's way up from where it used to be, and it goes in place first time. So, and in addition, I've removed the spacers which I had on the door shut at the bottom, which I showed at the beginning, which a lot of people use to fix the side door opening warning alarm. So provisional drive, that seems to have gone away. we'll see how that goes, but I think it's going to do it. The amount of it's moved the door, you've seen in the video, it's moved it a massive amount, and that bottom roller was completely disintegrated. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be it. So if you've made it to the end, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe and share if you can. Any comments down below, good or bad, just put them in there. Hopefully it'll be useful for someone. And in conclusion, a job well worth doing, and actually not that bad. You just got to take your time, make sure you support the door at all times, and just mark and measure as you go, you know, where your old brackets were now. It's made such a difference to the door. It was awkward. You almost kind of needed two hands to shut the door properly at times, and obviously when you're camping that was difficult. So the actual job itself, as I said, there's 3 hinges. I think they're all available on eBay. I'll put a link down in the description if I can for you. I think we're probably an hour and 10 minutes or so at the job itself, just taking our time and making sure we got it right. But that's made a world of difference, and I know for sure my door's not going to fall off when I go camping next. So that's it, guys. Thanks. So we've been for a drive. Good result. No problems with this side door alarm going off. Everything looks good. I'm really happy with how the door's working. It's sliding and just shutting so easily now, which could be a massive bonus when we're away camping. It's just awkward to shut the sliding door. So that's been a success. So great shout out to Brother Rich for giving me a hand to get it sorted. It's definitely a 2-man job, as you've seen in the video. And thanks for all you for watching, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.